Hello, everyone. I am Aline Macoin, and today I'm going to present my doctoral research with the title Measurement of Consistency in Judicial Decisions. The advisor of my doctoral thesis is Professor Cesar Cervena. With the increasing use of electronic processes in the availability of decisions in an electronic format, both in Brazil and other countries, data visualization techniques can be applied to judicial database for the purpose of extracting knowledge and identifying relevant properties that are not visible without the use of appropriate data mining techniques. In this image, I illustrate an example of a Brazilian Superior Court decision and some data that can be easily extracted using regular expressions. Some data that can be extracted are name of the judge, parties, lawyers, cited legislation, and date of the court decision. All public judicial decisions in Brazil, despite not being made available in the structured format, it's possible to extract this information without more complex natural language processing techniques. Decisions in Brazil are not anonymized either. On the image to the right, we can see some applications of what's possible to do with this data, which I have already dealt with the previous works. The first is a graph of citations between judicial precedents in order to identify relevant and similar precedents. In the second image is a graph to track decisions that were granted, dismissed, and partially granted over time. Finally, in the third image is a graph of the calculation of ideology according to the Kate-Pool W-nominate algorithm. This algorithm is interesting for measuring judges who tend to vote together and can be indicative of similar future votes. During this presentation, I will contextualize the Brazilian judiciary in order to understand how I intend to calculate judicial consistency from this data. What's in my problem of the paper? The choice of this theme is associated with a problem that Brazil currently faces, and that may be a reality of several countries, which is the hyper-judicialization of social relations. For many years, there has been an increase in the number of legal demands, also made possible by the development of technologies that help lawyers deal with more lawsuits simultaneously. Controlling how the judiciary will deal with this problem, it's called judicial accountability. And the way of measuring consistency can be a way of monitoring how judicial decisions are being taken. The parties and the lawyers appeal to a high court because they are not satisfied with a decision. The violation of understanding of a consolidated high court may justify this nonconformity in an appeal of high court. The greater number of new cases increases the number of lawsuits opened in the form of an appeal, which are increased by the number of the new cases generated every day and the congestion rate. According to the data from the Justice in Numbers project of National Council of Brazilian Justice, Brazil had 77 million cases pending at the end of December 2019. Therefore, by developing a metric that can help the courts to maintain their internal and external consistency with a high courts, we could increase certainty and reduce the rate of appeals in this instance, since this will allow them to dedicate themselves to the most complex cases in a swift manner. Although the work deals with a calculation of consistency of decisions that can be applied to any context or country, as long as it fulfills some requirements. I will, take, I will talk a little about the Brazilian judiciary to demonstrate the practical feasibility of the proposed study. In Brazil, we have courts of up to three instances. That is, a decision rendered in the first instance can be appealed or reversed in the second and the third instance. Some courts are responsible for judging specific issues such as electoral law or labor law, and other judge various areas of law. There are still lawsuits that can start in the last instance, according to the topic being discussed. The Brazilian Supreme Court, on the other hand, can function as fourth instance. However, not all cases can be judged in it. There must be some discussion involving things about federal constitution. In the present work, we will study the judicial consistency of decisions that are appealed from the Superior Court to the Brazilian Supreme Court. After contextualizing the functioning of the Brazilian judiciary, in this image I will illustrate some relationships between entities present in the court decision data. In item 4, we can see a court decision rendered by a panel of the judges who belong to a second instance court. This court decision is attached to a court case where the parties who file the case and their respective lawyers are connected. The second instance court decision, in addition to having been judged by more than one judge, it mentions other court decisions to support its own decision. In addition, can mention legislation as well. Lawyer for the party who does not agree with the court decision can appeal to a high court, number 2, and argue some reasons for overturning the decision. Although I have illustrated how it works in Brazil, but I believe it's very similar in other countries. All these relationships can be mapped with a mathematical or statistical calculation performed in order to support the calculation of consistency. In Brazilian legislation, the terms integrity and coherence refers to the term consistency. In a similar sense, Pina Chances and Linacre defines consistency as the extent of which like cases are treated alike. Meanwhile, the term treated alike can be interpreted in two ways. Some understand that the approach to sentencing should be constant across sentencing decisions. Others understand that it is the sentence outcomes amongst like cases that must be alike. Well, to calculate the constants, you need a database to test. I already mapped thousands of court decisions from a Brazilian High Court between 2001 and 2015, and this data can serve as basis for testing the algorithms for identify similar demands and calculate consistency. The data mapped include A. Keywords or subjects that identify the documents. B. Parts and their respective lawyers. C. Cited legal precedents. D. Cited legislation. E. Judges who judge the decision. And F. Decision type or granted or not granted in decision. The measurement of consistency makes it possible to identify when the understanding of a topic has changed in the court, when there are opposing understandings prevailing between courts or within the court itself, which could lead to legal uncertainty or even where there is a consolidated understanding. From this image, we can identify 5 levels of consistency. Number 1, individual consistency of each judge. Number 2, consistency of first instance decision. Number 3, consistency of second instance decision or Court of Appeals. Number 4, consistency of the court in the third instance or High Court. And number 5, what we may call legal rules, since in some countries, such as in Brazil, there may be a fourth instance or Supreme Court that can issue decisions that be prevail over all the other courts. Furthermore, in some issues, only the courts of the first or second instance establish a consolidated understanding, and however divergent the courts of second instance are, there is no general understanding of the higher courts. In a hypothetical case, all first instance decisions should be made following the understanding of the local courts, and so on, as long as there are legal precedents in all instances. In another hypothetical case, a judge may have a high individual constance, that is, always judged the same way in specific case, but presents some level of inconsistency with his court of origin when there is an understanding in the opposite sense. However, due to the fact that the courts have their judicial autonomy, that understanding may vary. This notion adds the validity to the study because even if a judge has a different understanding of a higher court, this understanding could be maintained until a law is enacted, modified, or change its understanding, but the understanding could never change several times in the same time span. It's also possible to highlight a problem that this type of research can cause if applied to the courts without due care, the stagnation of case law. This problem can be caused since decisions would only be made according to the overall understanding, and it would cease to be discussed in the they remained valid over time. However, as I already mentioned, judges and the courts have their judicial autonomy, and if an algorithm identifies an inconsistency, this could help judges to demonstrate through their arguments why such an understanding should be changed. Research to gauge the consistency of judicial decisions dates back 1996 with the work of American researchers such as Torrey and Austin, who sought to establish directives for drafting and structuring judicial sentences. However, authors such as Hoffer criticizes the lack of independent evaluation regarding the impact of these directives on practical cases. Engine, in 2011, also emphasizes the criticisms by noting, noting that we are a little empirical research in this respect. Another fact that influenced the conduct of empirical research on this topic worldwide was the lack of available and detailed data for this analysis. Another issue raised was the lack of consensus on the concept of consistency a court decision and how it should be measured. Pina Sanchez and Linacre also pointed out that, in addition to a lack of consensus, many methods do not go into the detail and have problems in terms of applicability, making it difficult to access consistency through various methods. Among the main errors made by the models was their lack of replicability and the possibility of comparing results. Another mistake made was with regard to generalization, with few cases analyzed and an attempt to infer the constants of entire courts, especially those that are limited to specific crimes. Also included as undesirable behaviors are the judge's isolated consistency measure, with the model tested using fictional data. As for the statistical techniques used, regression models were found to verify the influence of each variable on the final decision. However, as analyzed in the article, the predicability value of the model was not statistically significant. Yet, there were also works restricted to qualitative analysis. As a methodology for this work, a bibliographic review was conducted, which included a. Studying papers that address the analysis of a large amount of judicial data, b. Measuring constants, and c. Identify that Brazilian law and the doctrines define requirements for the standardization of case law and the identification of repetitive lawsuits. After the bibliographic review, a court is defined. For this, you must have documents that are available for online extraction, and they are more likely to have repetitive demands to evaluate the consistency of its decisions. Establishing the body of the origin of the judicial decisions, the extraction, pre-processing, transforming, data mining, and evaluation techniques can be applied. Among the transformation and data mining techniques, we include evaluation the algorithms for calculation of ideology, rate of reform of judicial decisions, and calculation with graphs to evaluate the results obtained and decide whether it would be necessary to apply natural language processing methods or change existing algorithms. Due to the high volume of judicial case for an automated analysis that could be checked manually by specialists, we had to determine a cutoff for the data. To choose the theme and identify the lawsuits widely published, understanding of divergences of opinions between judges and the courts, which are known as general repercussion of the Brazilian Supreme Court, were used. When an issue is marked as general repercussion of the Brazilian Supreme Court, the related cases are already identified. This methodological choice solved only the main problems reported by Pina Sanchez and Linacre. Regarding the phase of mapping data in the form of the graphs, from the pre-processed and transformed data when studying the true graph theory, it's possible to measure cited precedents that are similar through metrics such as modularity and the majority precedents. And as so the phase of the calculating the ideology value, this metric consider the judges who vote similarly can be clustered. Ultimately, this is an experimental work because it's difficult to identify and automatically analyze the arguments of a court decision and the association of similar arguments. It was decided to use these metrics mentioned above and validate their efficiency before adopting more complex methods. This criterion will be re-evaluated in future works. My contribution. The contribution of this work consists in the creation of a model to measure the consistency of court decision. However, to achieve this result, it is necessary to extract and prepare the data that will be used. The work is in the experimental phase. In the future, the use of more complex techniques, such as argument mining, to identify similar court rulings can be considered. The present work also differs from the 11 methods discussed in work of Pina Sanchez and Linacre, and as it considers the influence of precedents and the rate of decision reform. As interesting as some of the mentioned models may be, especially regression models, they seek to assign as weights to each legal factors that can influence a decision. However, the purpose of this work is to verify for already selected cases and with the same legal factors whether the same understanding is being applied to any of the evaluate levels of constants. Some data from court decisions have already been mapped in accordance with the methodology and the validity of metrics such as modularity and eigenvector centrality has been tested. The validity of the calculation of the judge's ideology was also tested using the metric developed by Kate Poole. Finally, with this data mapped and prepared for use in the model, we are applying the following formula. In this calculation, the following are considered. Number 1, number of votes in the majority position in favor or against regarding a certain issue, where M 0 or 1. Meanwhile, P I refers to all the cases judged by judge on the subject in question. Number 2, number of votes that mention the most frequently cited legal precedents. Number 3, meanwhile refers to all the cases ruled by a judge on the subject in question and which used legal precedents. Finally,
Mrs. Aline, just 3 more minutes, please.
Okay. Finally, the W variable is the weight attribute by the use of similar precedents on the team. Number 4, the constants of the judge with the local court considers the votes of all judges in the court and checks the proportion of similar votes with the judge analyzed. The decision reform rates is also considered. Ultimately, constants calculation for the high courts follow the same model as for the local court. It is a simple but experimental model to access whether the value found matches what is decided in the legal proceedings, that is, same results in case with same legal factors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aline, for your great presentation. Now we are going to move on for questions. Is okay?
Okay.
Okay, first question. What do you mean when you mention judge's ideology as a form of measuring consistency?
Okay. When I mention ideology, I'm not referring to a qualitative concept, but a quantitative one. Ideology is a metric that represents a value between -1 and +1. According to this metric, I can identify judges who vote similar according to the value they have in this metric. This value may imply more favorable or less favorable to some subjects.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have more questions here. In your paper, you mentioned that the automated analysis of data is limited to people with programming and statistical knowledge. Is there any way to make it widely available to lawyers who do not have programming skills?
Okay. The Brazilian judiciary, for now, does not provide tools to facilitate this automated analysis by people who do not have some minimal knowledge in data extraction and manipulation. Currently, there are many tools that make this work easier, but they require a basic acknowledgement of programming. Another option is to hire companies that offer this type of service, and they are called law techs.
Okay. Great. We have time for more minutes.
Okay.
I'll move on. Why did the author map the decisions from 2001 to 2015?
Okay. The year 2001 was defined because before this period, decisions are made available in digitized format. That is, the printed court decision was digitized and make the automated analysis more costly. As for the final period, 2015, it's due to the database that I have available in the organized way. Usually, the task of stretching and cleaning the database takes a lot of time. Even with this temporal limitation, I have more than 1 million court decisions available, which I believe it's a good sample.
Okay. Okay, we have more questions. Is the model objectives to aid courts only, or could it be used by lawyers as a tool of prediction reliability?
Okay. This model can help agencies that oversee the judiciary. As over the usefulness this calculation for lawyers, I see it's interesting to check if there is a great legal certainty in certain matters. This value could influence the decisions that the lawyer will take regarding the process and even in case of judicial conciliation.
Okay. One more. When analyzing judicial decisions, sorry, I will start again. When analyzing judicial decisions that have not reached the highest court, it can be a significant challenge to identify the consolidating understanding and who is being consistent. This is a phrase from you, I think. Is it even possible to identify who is being inconsistent? If so, what forms of measurement would be more relevant? Do you understand the question?
Yes. There is two ways, one simple and one more complex. The simplest would be to verify the group of decisions cited mostly through graph theory techniques. Any decision cited outside of this group could be considered non-standard, possibly inconsistent. Likewise, it applies to the aforementioned legislation. The most complex way in which can bring better results would be the argument mining and the verification of similar arguments. But I see it's a great challenge to put into practice.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Our last question from the audience. Has there been any progress regarding the use of the metrics presented in the paper? i.e., has the research had any further development since the paper was written?
I had no advances. So far, I've developed some articles that demonstrate the validity of using some metrics, and the next step, I gather these metrics to calculate consistency.
Okay, we just received the last question, and it's the last question because of the time. It has been shown that ML prediction systems fail to learn the rationale that was applied when the cases were decided, even when they appear to have a high level of accuracy. So even if they make the same decision in a large proportion of cases, and I don't see the current success rate of less than 8% as large, they are not applying the law, but an incorrect understanding of the law. How can this ever be legitimate?
It's a big problem, and the data mining techniques can reproduce the past. So if the data was wrong, possibly the future suggestions was wrong too. I answered the question.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, Professor Michael, would you like to make any questions, or should we move to the next presentation?
Thank you very much. There were many questions. Excellent presentation. Thank you.